Now, the third in our defense series is what we call contradictory evidence. The best example I can give is actually not a domestic violence case. It's a murder charge. Now, imagine this scenario as a lawyer. You get a case where someone has died and your client is accused of shooting them to death in a crack deal gone bad in front of everyone, and the client has made a complete and total confession. Does that sound like a good start to a case to you? It didn't to me either. But here's what we found out. This supposedly terrible case that was going to put this young person in prison, basically forever, if not subject to the death penalty, was actually, one, a false confession. The statement was taken improperly. And secondly, when we investigated the case, we found that there was contradictory evidence. We actually checked out what the witnesses had to say, and we found out that some witnesses said he did not do it, the girl who was with him did it, and other witnesses said, no, he was there with this other girl, and this guy who was with him did the shooting. Now, the reason that was important was because when we really looked hard at the confession that was made, it turns out that this juvenile in question had been in trouble quite often, and every single time his mother had rolled up to the police department to pick him up. So what does this kid say? He confesses to everything, and then at the end of the interview he says, is my mom going to come get me now? You can tell how naive this child is. And the officer is heard on the recorded statement going, no, you're going to jail. You're going to be charged with murder. Here's the next thing you hear. Oh, well, let me tell you what really happened. Click. They turned it off. Because what did he do? He started recanting his confession when he realized the seriousness of it. This actually resulted in a complete dismissal of charges. And this can happen in domestic cases all the time if you have witnesses. And normally you have at least 3 witnesses. You have the defendant who's been charged, the complaining witness who's either called the police or someone has called the police for the complaining witness. And then you have at least 1 law enforcement officer, and quite often 2. You also can have lay witnesses, because sometimes these things happen in a family setting. Something about a little too much alcohol and a little too much holiday bad cheer can go a long way to spending the night in jail. If you have any question about Florida domestic violence law defenses, feel free to give me a call.